What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for watching. Really quick before we get started, I want to let you guys know that we will be following up on the Bigfoot stuff, obviously. I guess unless we get some answers, but it's kind of fun not knowing what it is and just, you know, letting it play out as it does. But today we finally have something that I've been getting requests for forever. The 1911. So I had one of these a couple years ago, but the channel was pretty small and I know a lot of you guys weren't here back then. So I'm excited to finally have another 1911 to play with. And don't worry, we do have a Glock to compare it to. And since the 1911 is one of the most popular and unpopular guns in the world all at the same time, I thought our first video on this would be an addition to the Why Do People Hate series. So today we're gonna do Why Do People Hate the 1911? Oh yeah, we're gonna ruffle some feathers right off the bat with this thing. All right, so this is the Sds Bantam Carry 1911. I believe it's a Turkish gun. I'm not really a 1911 guy, so I don't know if these are considered good or bad or what. I guess we'll find out when we shoot it. But before we get started, I want to thank Turtle Lake Tactical once again for sending this out to us today. So obviously people have a lot of complaints about 1911s, and we'll talk about those in a minute, but there are several things that are just not up for debate when it comes to these guns. Number one is obviously the triggers. 1911 triggers are an absolute wet dream, and still, like 100 years later, widely considered to be some of the best handgun triggers in the world, and I definitely agree with that. They're also really pleasant guns to shoot, I imagine, because the triggers are so nice, and of course, very beautiful guns, and this is no exception to that. Definitely a nice looking gun. So those are the pros. Now that we've got that out of our system, let's start bashing this thing a little bit. By the way, I just want to clarify, these are not all my personal opinions. I'm just playing devil's advocate for the sake of the video and telling you guys what a lot of people don't like about 1911s, although I definitely agree with some of these. Pretty sweet. So right off the bat, you can see the recoil. It's obviously a 45 ACP. Nowadays they have 1911s in every caliber, but originally they were 45s. And one thing that cracks me up, I gotta say this, is when a 9mm guy mentions recoil as one of the reasons he doesn't like the 45, and the 45 caliber guys will get all macho about it, like you can't handle the recoil, it's, you know, a man's caliber. Like it's a 500 Magnum. It doesn't kick that hard. It's just about weighing the pros and cons. Is it worth the bigger gun, less capacity, more recoil with modern ammo to pick a 45 over a 9mm? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just putting the argument out there. And I don't know too many guys that shoot a 9mm well and then crumble under the recoil of the 45. It doesn't kick that hard, but it is something to think about. So that's one of the downsides of the 1911. And another one right off the bat is the safety. So I am not a fan of safeties, external thumb safeties on like carry guns and self-defense guns, probably only because I've gotten so used to Glocks and guns that don't have them. It's just another step that I'm not a fan of. I know guys that carry these are very quick with it, and this one, I gotta say, is really nice. It's super gentle, like you can just easily flick that thing on and off. Some of them are stiff, this one definitely isn't. So it probably wouldn't even take a week to get used to it, and I know a lot of guys really do love having that external thumb safety, but personally, I'm just not a fan of it. Well, now that I'm all used to the nice trigger on the 1911, let's go ahead and throw everything off and shoot the Glock. So this is my brand new Gen 5 Glock 19. I've always wanted one of these, and I finally got one yesterday. So this is obviously a 9mm. Just take a look at the difference in recoil. Again, the trigger is completely different, so this is gonna throw me off, but the recoil impulse of the 9mm is just so much nicer than the 45. It might be snappier in a weird way, if that makes sense, but your follow-up shots are quicker and your sights are back on target a lot faster than they are with the 45. All right, let's put this recoil theory to the test between the 9 and the 45 and see which one's faster. I was gonna bring my shot timer out for this, but I forgot it, so I guess we'll just have to listen and see which one sounds faster. But I'm gonna put 3 rounds from each gun on the rubber dummy right in the chest, and we'll see what the time difference is, as far as we can tell. Pretty good. That red dot, I feel like I'm slower with the red dot, as weird as that sounds. So that third one was up in the neck, but definitely a good hit. All right, let's try the 1911. These two guns are such polar opposites that going back and forth between them is kind of weird. It's definitely throwing me off. I'm so much quicker with iron sights. Already out of ammo. That's another awesome part about 1911s. You get 8 rounds. Not too bad though. Definitely comparable to the Glock. Pretty good. I would say if I got used to the red dot on the Glock, I would be quicker with it. I'm not really doing the red dot thing justice, but not that much of a difference, honestly. The capacity is another issue that I have with the 1911. You get twice as many rounds in a 9mm Glock, and obviously more rounds is always a good thing. But that's also why the 1911s are so thin, because they use single stack magazines. Since I did it with the Glock, we'll go ahead and do a mag dump with the 1911. I mean, it only holds 8 rounds, so why not? I got him in the neck. So if you can't tell by now, I'm definitely not a 1911 hater. I actually love these guns, but one more thing I'll say that a lot of people dislike about them is the price. So I think this one was like 1,100 bucks, which is actually kind of on the low end for a 1911, honestly. And with all the modern polymer pistols out there that you can get as cheap as $300 or even less, it's just hard for a lot of people to justify spending, you know, so much money on a 1911. That being said, I do think you get what you pay for usually, and a lot of times they are worth the money because they're just a completely different design. I found an old shaving cream can up there by the trash that hasn't been shot yet, so obviously we got to take care of that. Whoa! That could have been bad. Just imagine if that would have actually hit my camera. That would have sucked. We'll do one more quick one through the 1911. I feel like I'm shooting the Glock more than I am this in a 1911 video. And it's a nice one, that's for sure. All right guys, before we wrap this video up, I wanna go up to the rifle range and shoot a little bit up there. So in the last video, a lot of you guys asked to see behind my backstop where that Bigfoot was hanging out, just to make sure it wasn't something else that we were seeing. So I'll go ahead and show you that now. And you can see we just got some sandbags, a couple cinder blocks, a rake, and then the woods go way downhill into a big ravine, and that goes on basically forever. So who knows where that thing came from, but there's definitely nothing back here. And like I said, I imagine whatever it was is probably hanging out around here because of all the produce and pumpkins and melons and food that we shoot. It's just a good place for an animal to hang out. Whether it was a Bigfoot or not, that's definitely where it was at. You know what I absolutely never practice? Shooting on the move. Let's try it. This is some LARPing shit right here. All right, pretty slow. Wasn't moving like I probably should be, but baby steps. The problem is I can't go that way because I'll go off camera, but if I'm coming this way, it's really hard to shoot, so I'm just gonna go straight towards the threat. That seems smart. First malfunction, it looks like that round kind of nosedived in the magazine. All right, it ran the last 6 rounds, however many that was, after the malfunction. Let's try it again. I feel like instead of moving real slowly and shooting like that, it makes more sense to juke them out and then shoot them. Nice. I think I got all of them. Man, I actually really like this gun. There's obviously things I don't like about it, like any 1911, but there's just something different about shooting one of these. It's not like any other gun that I have. Now that I'm so used to the 9mm, I don't love the recoil impulse of the 45. It's not that it's too much, it's just kind of slow to get back on target, which I'm not a fan of, but it's definitely growing on me. Plus it actually seems to work, which is more than you can say about a lot of 1911s. Well, I think we've shot our steel targets enough with this thing, so let me try to get a good side shot of it. Maybe we'll slow it down a bit. It always sounds so sticky when I send the slide home like that. Pretty nice. All right, everybody, that is gonna do it for me today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video on the SDS 1911. Again, I wanna reiterate, these are not all my personal opinions. I'm just playing devil's advocate for the sake of the video and kind of clarify why the 1911 gets some of the criticisms that it does. Like I said a dozen times in this video, I love 1911s, and in many ways, they're one of my favorite handguns to shoot, but I don't think I'll be trading in my Glocks anytime soon to carry one of these things. But that's just my personal opinion on that. So let me know what yours is down in the comments below. I know a lot of you guys love these things and a lot of you guys probably don't, so I'd be glad to hear from you guys as always. But if you liked the video, let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button for me, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.